Hello everybody, Patrick Glenn Nichols here, Muscle Car Barn Finds, and I'm down here in really southern Alabama, not far from the Gulf Coast, and I have come over here to document a 1970 Chevelle, pretty much a survivor, unrestored car that's been in this area since brand new in southern Alabama. Been off the road since about 1985. It's a Gobi beige car with a dark gold vinyl top and saddle interior. Really cool car, L34, air conditioning, bench seat on the column car. We just extracted the build sheet from the back seat, which I will show you. We'll go do a total walk around video of this car for my followers, especially my 70 Chevelle followers that understand that I do authenticate and document 70 Chevelles. So this is another example. So here we go. Right off the bat, as we normally do, we go to the front of the car and you can see that it has the lower headlight moldings for an early car. This is a January of 1970 Chevelle from Kansas City, Missouri. So it's still before the break off where they discontinued or did not put that molding under the headlights any longer. The car has been repainted. The stripes appear to be a little off, but the car did come with black stripes, which is indicated on the build sheet. Let's go all the way around the car. We will start this time under the hood and go from there. This has the early version of the standard SS hood, which I will show you here. There is some rust in this car, but it's not a lot considering its age. And a lot of the parts of this car are still here. Not a lot of things have been altered. The battery is gone. There's a little rust in the inner fender on this side, which almost all cars have with the metal inner fender on this side. Kansas City, Missouri, of course, had metal inner fenders. Got the CTW L34, which is about a little over 50,000 of these cars were assembled in 1970. These are the cars that you saw on the street back in the day. Roughly the ratio on the 70 Chevelle Super Sport, about 5 were of this variety out of 6. And 1 would be of special, so it would be an L78, LS5, or LS6. So about every 6 70 Chevelle Super Sports, 5 of them would be L34s, roughly. We've talked about the valve covers before. You can see the wire loom that's in front of the bolt on this side, which is correct. We've got the TCS switch, still intact. We have a round yellow dipstick. I know a lot of guys go crazy over the flat tip yellow, but I'm here to tell you, don't shun the round one too much, because I've seen too many Survivor cars with the round one. Of course, we've got the 2000 distributor 1112000, which is correct for the L34 automatic. We've got a wiper motor that is the 310th day of 1969, which definitely falls in line with a January of 70 build car. This car was equipped with air conditioning, which would have the big radiator, which we see on this side, which is really sought after, the PD for the automatic. And the GI and GJ call outs for the build sheet on the transmission cooling line tags are still on the transmission cooling line, which is really cool. The 165 fan shroud is still here, cut for the heavy duty cooling for the air conditioning. What date we have here on the radiator is A of 70, just like I assumed. And we have the correct air cleaner with the crankcase ventilation that comes out the rear, which we've been over before on a 70 model. It exits out the rear at roughly 10 o'clock. And let's remove and check out under the air cleaner. The 7040204 carb is still in place, dated 0070, which would be the 7th day of 1970, which is definitely correct. We got the dual groove power steering pulley, which is correct. On the air conditioned cars, there's a no car with non-air, with no air conditioning, would have a single groove power steering pulley. And give you a good idea of the firewall and the condition of the car all along the way. The original engine is still in this car. I'm not sure I can focus for you on that stamp. It's not real easy, but it is there for the upside down Kansas City, Missouri VIN sequence stamp. Now let's focus on the body a little bit more. Again, this is Gobi beige, dark gold vinyl top, and black stripes. And now let's run down the cow tag. All right, 70 13637 two-door hardtop, KAN for Kansas City, Missouri. 678190 is the body number, which is on the build sheet in the body number box. 770 for saddle, bench seat interior, 50 for Gobi beige, H for dark gold vinyl top, 01D, of course, for the 4th week of January, and those numbers are data processing. And then we have the Kansas City L for what we most think is for super sport equipment. This car has push-on. There are two versions of the center caps. A lot of the earlier cars had the push-on, which you can tell when you can spin it. You can hear the tongs. So this car has all 4 push-on center caps still. All 5 of the wheels are here. We have some rust at the bottom of the fenders. Very little, not that much. The doors seem to have virtually 0 rust. And let's go into the driver's side. Sun is putting out a glare. Please forgive the glare. And you can see the bench seat, saddle interior, air conditioning, automatic, super sport on the column. A lot of guys say that's rare. This is not rare. This is standard. So if you got an automatic and you didn't designate for bucket seats or console, it was on the column. If you designated bucket seats and you didn't designate console, it was on the column and you sat in bucket seats. That's the way these options went. So a bench seat on the column automatic, super sport, even an LS6, cannot be considered rare. It's just considered standard equipment. And you can see where we removed the back seat and just extracted the build sheet, which I actually shot a video for the first time of a build sheet being extracted from the hog rings of a Kansas City, Missouri back seat, which we've spoke of plenty of times before. You can see the original saddle bench seat covers. Most of the covers that you buy in the aftermarket or the reproduction, you see these fins in this portion will not be there. That'll be smooth. So you cannot buy reproduction covers, to my knowledge, at this point in time in the game, that are exact. There are some manufacturers that have gotten close on the door panels, and the covers are not as flat as they once were. You see these are defined ribs. They flatten out over time from being sat in. It's really tough to find original interior that is really, really nice. And of course, most of my close friends understand that I search out Super Survivor anything. I don't care if it's, well, right in front of you, a brake pedal or a bench seat cover or a steering wheel. Anything that's original and Super Survivor condition. Okay, on to the body. Now you can see the vinyl top has been sprayed at some point tan to probably match the tan, the Gobi beige, but it began life as dark gold. The rear quarter on this side is really nice in my opinion. You really don't know till you go to sanding into something like that, but as far as the appearance, there's There's not a lot of rust showing. Most cars, especially vinyl roof cars, rusted real bad in this area. Looking really, really good. This car definitely has been inside roughly about 40 years. The second owner is the guy that is responsible for this car being kept unrestored and not altered very much. He was the type of guy that just drove it to work, and if it needed something, he was on top of it. What I would call a good owner. He passed away not long ago, and he was responsible for storing the car for over 40 years. And I will show you a picture of that guy here shortly. Let's look into the trunk. I really like to give credit to those who actually saved these cars. Okay, here we are. January the 5th, AO, that is correct. These brake drums are correct. If you know, on a 1970 model, they will be finned like this and not smooth like in other earlier years, and they are also dated. You can turn it out right here, and you'll see L would be for December 29/9. So December the 29th of 69, which would be definitely correct for this January of 70 car. And we have A on this side, A7 of 70, which is January the 7th of 70. So these brake drums were born with this car and never got away. You can see somebody decided to respatter or repaint in the trunk, which is definitely common. You know, individuals see that some rust was shining through. They decided to prevent the rust. And I don't know that I blame them in some cases. We have the jack-in instructions up here on the top right, and no posi traction but decal, because this car was not born with posi traction, so that adds up. And right here I'll show you the Earl Shear Chevrolet. That's where it was purchased new. 1985 is the last time it was legal for the streets. And another little quick tidbit of information: this is an early car, but it is after the break on the recall for the tail lights. It does not have the flat tail lights, and I'm going to say that that has never been changed. So we got early molding under the headlights, but second design tail lights after the recall. We got an early design Super Sport hood. So we got a lot of things, and we have push-on center caps. So the car's kind of unique in its own right. We go down to the passenger side at this point. Not a lot of rust in this quarter panel. This car's pretty solid. No way you cut out any panel on this car, in my opinion. All the original panels stay with this car. You just repair what is here. You see the original Super Sport wheels show some age. They've never been off this car as far as I know. And to the passenger side. Really nice looking. I said earlier, I look for nice Survivor parts. This is a really nice Survivor door sill plate on this side with the rivet. Nice example there. Original carpet. The interior is totally original at this point, other than the back rear speaker shelf, which is altered, and we have a non-original radio in the car. You can see we have the speakers on both sides of the dash, which was mandatory on an air conditioning car. Even if you had a standard AM radio, that was because of the air conditioning ducts. You had to have the dual speakers on both sides with air conditioning. What kind of date do we have on here? 49 of 69, so that's the real late of 69, which is definitely correct for this January of 70, 1970 Chevelle. And the passenger side, just a little bit of rust down at the bottom of the fender. The bottom of the door looks really nice. Some old school bias ply tires. These are flat. you want my opinion, I think if you oil this engine up and try to spin it over, this car might start. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think this car is going to be totally restored at this point, considering most of the parts are here. I think we have a few things missing, shocks, a few other things, but minor parts to this car are missing. Just about everything is here. Of course, my advice to the owner is, you know, just about everything that you need to this car is on it. You restore what's on it, and you will come out with a much better ending product than if you stay in that catalog. You have to restore what's on it. The stuff that's on it is way harder to find than what's in them catalogs. Okay, let's go back here and I'll show you some history of the car and the build sheet that we just removed from the back seat. Okay, January the 29th, you see the two-door hardtop, the 770 trim for the saddle bench seat, Gobi beige, dark gold top. B designates the black stripes. If you look down here, D88, hood and deck stripes, that proves it. Door emblem SS, which was on all Super Sport 396 cars. M40 transmission, N40 power steering, air conditioning, SS 396 conversion, and there is the 678190 that was on the CalTac for the body number, and the last 6 of the VIN 159 335, so forth and so on. Blue and black stripe, which would have been the designation on the drive shaft, which is correct for a L34 automatic. FF, the carburetor is still here, dated the 7th day of 1970. Pretty good build sheet, but it was a lot of work to get it removed from the back seat of this car, which I have a video, and I will post the video of the extraction of this build sheet. And here's the guy that I'd like to take time to, you know, give credit. He passed away not long ago, but he is the guy responsible. His name is Mr. Pierce, and he owned the car for 40 years and drove the car to work and really cared for the car. So those are the guys that we like to recognize. And there's the car where the owner, the current owner, where he found it after Mr. Pierce had passed away. Really cool Gobi beige car. And some photos of the way that it is now. There's the extraction the day that the car was purchased. There's the brake drums that are in the trunk of the car, and this car also has 2-piece rotors still, which is correct. So that's an early version as well. That was generally changed after March or April or so. And some documentation of inside of the brakes, of the brake drums. And you see the exhaust had been changed. The car come factory. Most 70 Chevelle enthusiasts understand it come with resonators and chrome exhaust tips on the dual exhaust. Okay, I'll do one more quick walk around of the car and let you see the car as a whole. There's an old sticker, Golden Ram. And we will close out from there. So this is a really nice car. A lot of the stuff that I speak about really doesn't go into a car when you're authenticating a car. When you authenticate a car, you're generally looking at the drive line and the body to make sure that the car is actually what it appears to be. So if it's an L34 Super Sport automatic, then that's what we're looking at. We want to authenticate that the engine, the trans, and the rear axle all came with the car. Real quick, I forgot, and I'm going to show you the rear axle to this car, which I have it up. I've done this before, and I know guys love to see underneath the car, so right there, CCW for 331 open, January the 16th, Buffalo, New York, first shift. And we'll get a better idea of underneath the car of the floor pans. Not real rusty, just your usual flaky, but very solid. The automatic trans is still here. It's dated the 379th day of 1969, which we've been over before. Transmissions are dated from the year prior, so the 379th day of 1969 would be 14 days into 1970, which is definitely correct on this CF, which is correct for the Turbo 400 L34. I think we've been around this car pretty thoroughly, and we will close at this point. But again, like I said, when we authenticate a car, it's generally to the drive line and the body. Little characteristics that we go into, like the valve covers and, you know, originality of certain parts that are not driveline components, or just for judging and for what's correct and incorrect. This car is correct in a lot of ways. I hope you enjoyed the video of this 1970 Chevelle. If you have a 1970 Chevelle, you need assistance authenticating, you can contact me at Patrick Glenn Nichols Muscle Car Barn Finds on Facebook and YouTube. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. More videos on the way.